At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right. There you go. That's a little bit of TeSlaa for you. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Some of that came from his TikTok and huddle videos kind of compiled together there. Let's do this, huh? What a day. What an evening. 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? What an evening last night was. little nuts. Right? Little unexpected. Kind of thought after 8 p.m., well, really after about 6 p.m., I thought, well, this isn't happening. Nothing is happening. No commits. They're kind of still waiting on waiting on the Notre Dame tight end. So we'll touch on that and a little bit more here in just a second. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Shout out to Patreon supporters. Appreciate all you guys. Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company, the show's first sponsor. If you guys need garage door work done, they offer same-day services, free estimates, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Give them a call today, 501-244-3667. That's Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. Apex Tattoo Studio, listen, they're offering those $1,000 tap-out sessions. They are available, and if you mention Tuss Talk with Ty, listen, you got a sleeve. I don't know. You guys are into the neck tats have become so huge over the last 5 years or so. You want to finish off some ink, a sleeve, neck tat, whatever you got going on. Mention Tuss Talk with Ty. Go to Apex Tattoo Studio. They'll hit you up for 10% off. Again, that's $1,000 tap out sessions, or just in general. In general, it doesn't even have to be that. Set your appointment up today. They are located in Rogers, 479-278-2694. And, of course, shout out to Odd Soul, show's most recent sponsor. As of January, but we were hitting them up in late December. A couple of on-site live shows that we've done there. Great pies. Wonderful craft beer on tap. The IPAs are flowing, baby. The Odd Soul, located on Emma Street, right down the road from me here in Springdale. So if you guys are thirsty, you're hungry, go to the Odd Soul. They open up at 4 p.m. on Mondays, but I think it's Tuesday through Saturday. It's 11, and I don't actually have their Sunday schedule in front of me, but hey, the pies alone are great, and then you combine the IPAs. All right, much to discuss. Again, we will get to to TeSlaa here in just a little bit. Again, you saw those videos, or you saw the video at the beginning of this intro. We're going to get to him in just a second. Let's start things off first. Let's read chat really quick. Remember, hey, like the show, like it, share it, subscribe if you're new here. What's up, Ty? What's up, Philip White fam? Ty, you need a bigger screen for Patreon member. Yeah, it's growing. We were at 43 last month. I don't know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna have to go with two like different screens or something. Cooper Cup is smaller. You guys are talking about the Cooper Cup comparison to TeSlaa. Tonight's Alabama game is going to go a long way to future success. Arkansas has 3 5-stars in the house. Yeah, they got some visitors. They have some visitors. That is for sure. Going to be a big night for sure. I agree. Listen, I think win or lose, as long as the crowd brings it, that's going to be more than enough. I think sometimes for some of these kids understand, man. Like Arkansas still trying to figure it out, especially with the absence of Trevon Brazile and Nick Smith. I was feeling we were third in TeSlaa's choice. Scott says, boy, was I wrong. Golly. I had one DM this morning and one text, both of which were like, what the hell happened last night? Waiting on Weaver. Yep, got Weaver in the mix. South Florida wide receiver. That is correct. That's one. Xavier Weaver. Is that right, Xavier? I was just looking at him. Not that long ago, actually. Go down to my portal targets here. So you get TeSlaa. Now some of these I haven't updated. I don't know the latest on Cam Kelly, the North Carolina corner. I think he may have already committed somewhere. Could be wrong on that. Kendarian Ray. These are names that are on the portal target list for Patreon supporters. I think Arlen Bruce has already picked a play. I could be wrong. Jake Roberts did. He ended up picking Baylor over Arkansas. I really think that was honestly that's one I really thought Arkansas was going to get, and it just goes to show you that you never know what to expect. Tyrone Broden, that monster wide receiver from Bowling Green, everybody's been going on about. He's making his picks today. Last I had heard, I think it was between Oklahoma. I don't remember who the other school was. I don't think Arkansas's in the mix. But the way this has worked out, especially when you look at TeSlaa's situation, or a recent linebacker who committed to like 4 schools at once and then ultimately chose the Razorbacks, you just don't know what to make of these portal prospects. I don't think Arkansas's in on Broden. But, yeah, Dante Thornton, of course, ended up going to Tennessee. Tennessee was his last visit on the way out. We'll get to the portal stuff. We'll get to it, I promise. I know you guys are really excited about that. I wanted to talk about Arkansas and Alabama first and then get into the recent commit. Can line him up either in the slot or an outside. Yeah, Woo Pig. He is okay. Let's talk basketball first. You guys are itching for the TeSlaa conversation. I'm all about it, but let's get into the basketball matchup first. Arkansas taking on Alabama tonight. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm picking Alabama. I'll just say it straight up. This reminds me of last season, that early January kind of slow start. If you remember, last year it took about mid-January before Arkansas really started to mold. I think this year is going to be a little bit different because you've had 2 unexpected injuries. You've had, I say all injuries are unexpected. I get that, but last year you had some guys that were dealing with stuff too. But I would argue what Arkansas's missing on the floor. You look at a matchup tonight, you could really use Trevon Brazile tonight, by the way. Alabama gives up almost, 70 points a game. But their efficiency, though, on defense is really good. That's the key. But they do give up 70 points, and they've played a really good schedule so far. So it's not really fair to compare the last 2 years in the month of mid to late part of January into February compared to this year because of the presence or the absence rather of Brazile and Nick Smith is heavily, heavily felt with this team on the offensive end of the floor. Now, luckily you've had Council to kind of help balance that out. You had Black come out and knock down, what was it? He had 11 of Arkansas's first 14 points in the second half or something crazy. We have seen those 2 guys turn it on. Black is a guy, he's kind of streaky. He'll disappear for an opening half and then he'll reappear in the second half or vice versa. And he can. I mean, he's not someone who gets into foul trouble like Walsh, and he's obviously a point guard. It's not really fair to kind of compare the two. He is a pretty good defender. He's a pretty good on the ball defender, and he'll do his thing on the defensive end of the floor and be just fine. It helps that he's 6. It help. His size is huge, right? For being at the one spot, for being a point guard. But he can be streaky in a game, but then you look back on his numbers and you're like, wow. And then there's games where he's completely disappeared, or he just vanishes, and it's kind of left. It's left up to Ricky Council, or you're waiting on Devo to not take junk 3-point shots and just knock down that mid-range jumper that he has. That dude could be scoring. I think really, if he would just stick to his guns and what he does on the offensive end of the floor, he really could be a guy that gets 10, 12 points a game. I really feel like he could be that guy and then do his thing on the defensive end. That's what he is. He's a terrific on and off the ball defender. Walsh is chaotic, very active hands. He tends to chest bump. He tends to, we've seen him hook, runs into that a little bit, gets into foul trouble really fast. Refs are really quick to blow the whistle on him. Sometimes it's just unfair. You're pulling your hair out. Like, what are they doing? He didn't do anything like that. He got hit with a couple last week that I just thought were awful. That were just not fouls, and they just don't give him sometimes the benefit of the doubt on some of those contact fouls, and or on any kind of body contact. He just doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, and I think because he might have a little bit of a reputation as being a wild card on the defensive end. They have a lot they're going to have to figure out tonight. Of course, you've got a couple of really good freshmen. You've got a lottery pick freshman on Alabama's roster. They're good. They're really good. Alabama's really, really good. Now, Nick Smith, and again, we're going to go to this every time. You guys know this. I'm not using it as an excuse, but it is kind of a what-if scenario. And as much as I don't really like what-if scenarios, it is something else entirely. When Arkansas is at full strength, toe-to-toe, Bama, I don't think they match up with a healthy Nick Smith and a healthy Brazil. They do now. They really do now. And not only that, they're gelling. They're dialed in. Bama is the best team in the SEC. Now, that doesn't mean Arkansas stands no chance tonight. Oh, my God. You're in Bud Walton. You're in BWA, baby. You're in the BWA. And it's not an 8 p.m. Wednesday night tip-off. It's not an 8 p.m. tip-off on a Wednesday night. It's 6 p.m. Now, I really don't think with a game like this that matters a whole lot. But I think the crowd going to have a little bit more energy tonight. Maybe that'll help out. Not that Fayetteville hasn't brought it, because they have. But Alabama, pretty good at silencing crowds. It feels like a heavyweight matchup. I don't know that Arkansas right now, the caliber of which they're playing at, is a top 25 team or not. Tonight we'll tell you a little bit. They can overcome teams like Alabama. Now, at home, Bud Walton, I think, spots you 10 points. I feel like Bud Walton, at its best, spots you maybe more. I mean, Bud Walton is a very tough arena. No offense to Auburn, but I think when Arkansas, it's a hornet's nest, and more so than what Auburn is in some of these other places. At Rupp with Kentucky, well, maybe not more so than Rupp. When Kentucky's feeling it and they're playing good ball, Rupp is probably king. You've got to give them credit, even though they are piss poor this year. Not much to cheer for if you're a Wildcat fan right now, but I would argue that Bud Walton is in that conversation of top 3 loudest arenas in the SEC, and maybe top 10, somewhere in the top 8, top 10 in the country. They don't get the respect they're due. I know someone's going to throw me a link where Arkansas is not even in the top 20, but I'm saying when there's something to cheer for, and Arkansas hasn't had a lot to cheer for in quite some time. Did you know that this is the first top 15 matchup in Bud Walton Arena since like 95? I think it was maybe 94, 95. Crazy. They haven't had a lot of good rank on rank matchups or any rank on rank matchups over the years until Musselman came into the picture. During the 90s, yeah, in Barnhill, of course you move out of Barnhill and Bud Walton Arena's built, but Barnhill got pretty loud too. Of course, you're kind of smushed in more in Barnhill with fewer seats. Bud Walton is going to be the X factor tonight, and I think Nate Oates versus Musselman is going to be fascinating. Going to be a lot of up and down, a lot of quick transition, probably a lot of quick transition points. Arkansas's biggest issue this year, well, I mean, they've got a number. I would argue, really, they've got a lot of things on the offensive end of the floor. They have not been a good three-point shooting team in a while. They weren't last year. They had games where they kind of pieced it together outside, and they kind of shocked you as a Razorback fan, like, whoa, wait a minute, we shot 45% on X. What happened? We actually did that? And they'll do that this year. Someone will get a hot streak, whether that's Pinion, Anthony Black, Council. Someone will find it outside. But that has been a huge, huge problem for Arkansas. I think even more so this year than last year. Now, I was looking at something, and it's not really fair with such a small sample size, but through 3 SEC games, at LSU, listen to these two numbers here. Now, they're not the most deciding factors, but these are two things that you continue to hear. When you turn on the radio and you listen to local sports radio, right? You turn on Ty, you hear him nagging and bitching about what's going on, or you listen to anybody else. These are two things that come up often. At LSU, at 3-point, out beyond the perimeter, Arkansas was 4 of 25. That's 16% shooting outside against LSU on the road. You shot 50% at the free throw line. 50%. You know what's wild? On a neutral court in Maui, well, it's not really surprising because it's a neutral court, but in Maui, these numbers weren't as bad. You know, you go back to both their games that one they won and one they lost, their three-point shooting and free throw shooting seemed to be okay. I think in one of those they shot like 70, almost 76% at the free throw line. That might have been Louisville. Okay, you have Mizzou and Bud Walton Arena. Arkansas shoots 29%, 6 of 21. You can live with that. You're not going to win a lot of games anywhere shooting just 29%. Again, other stats matter, right? And matchups do matter. But 6 of 21, it's not great. That's not something you write home to mom about. But 6 of 21, it's the best you've done so far through your 3 SEC games. 29%. You're just north of 28%. You were 70% against Mizzou at the free throw line. 16 of 23. You go back on the road against Auburn. Yeah, your numbers are naturally going to decline on the road. Yes. But the disparity so far is unreal. 3-point against Auburn, 2 of 16 for 13%. Really, the number's like 12.5. Holy crap. That is horrible. 2 of 16. At the free throw line, once again, you're in the 50 percentile here. Free throw line, you're 19 of 32 for 58%. 58, about 59%. These are areas that you almost feel like if only they could shoot 5-6% better at the free throw line and bump that 3-point number up a little bit. Yeah, you shouldn't have taken as many shots as you did. You shot 25 times outside against LSU. That was too many, but you know why they were doing it. And Alabama's going to play zone. Alabama's going to play they're going to play tight around the rim. Maybe a little bit more spacing than what you saw against, let's say Auburn or Mizzou, but only because they have the talent to do so. I don't know that you're going to see a lot of man defense tonight. And Arkansas is going to have to get warmed up outside. I don't care if it's Pinion. I don't care if it's Black, Council. I definitely don't want it being Devo, but I'm sure Devo will probably try at least a couple of bad shot selections outside because that's kind of what he does. Maybe he'll hit him tonight. I don't know if he does, but they're going to have to get this figured out. The free throw shooting is horrid. I think they're 13th, maybe 12th in the SEC in total free throw percentage on the year. A lot of things they got to get fixed. The wild thing is you can fix these. You can fix these. You can bring these numbers up. Black has been terrific, but that's what's crazy. It's like I don't know that I trust anyone, maybe outside of Anthony Black or Ricky Council. I actually haven't looked at his free throw. I swear last I looked, his free throw numbers are actually pretty good. I might need to double check that because no one else outside of Anthony Black looks like they're shooting very well at the line. But you almost feel like if only they'd shoot about, just a little bit, maybe 6%, 7% on the year better at the line. Obviously, you need a pretty big jump at 3-point range. That's not their identity. That's not who they are. I don't think that's who they're going to be. They certainly didn't really change that much last year that I can recall. Nick Smith hopefully coming back in February, but we talked about this last week. You cannot pin your hopes and dreams on this year to Nick Smith. You got to work with what you have. And that needs to be in your mind moving forward and what you're going to do. If you get Nick Smith, that's like, I don't know. I would say icing on the cake, but I don't know if that's the right thing to say there, because right now you don't have much of a cake. Right now you're still kind of Muss is still mixing it in the bowl. He's still putting everything together, right, with the flour and the whatever kind of cake he wants, right. They've still got a little ways to go there. Eventually, though, if things hopefully trend in a better direction, you get the right chemistry, and then you bring Nick in, and it's like there might be a little bit of a disturbance there, or he could come in like he'd never been gone at all. I have a hard time seeing that happen, but right now, I'm not counting on him to return. That's my mindset, and I think that should be everybody's mindset. If you do get him for the sake of the team, yeah, you're in a much better position as far as on the scoring end of things, because we know what he can do at all three levels of scoring. We know what he's capable of doing and his ceiling. I think if he were to come back in February, it'd be a slow, transition for him a little bit. He probably doesn't. It'd be similar to when they tried to bring him back earlier this year, where he comes out, he gets like 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. You kind of judge where he's at, and then you just slowly move forward if he comes back. I'm saying right now, just for the sake of just to have it in my mind, and so I don't get my hopes up, I'm just saying he's not going to play this year. So they need to fix with what they have on the floor. But those are two numbers there: 3-point line, free throw shooting. If only they were. I mean, yeah, the most obvious thing in the world is to say if only they were better. If only they had a higher percentage of shooting in those two categories. Oh, but I really do think that's the difference between winning and losing for them right now, are those two numbers. They're rebounding okay, right? I mean, they're getting to the free throw line. They're doing a pretty good job of getting to the line. I mean, my God, you were 19 of 32 against Auburn. I mean, that's a lot of shots. That's a lot of opportunities there. You could see the youth in this team as well. Good timely cuts through the zone helps. Cutting has not been like it was last year, I don't think. Nick Smith Jr. ain't playing another game, says Journo Gorilla. Ty, I made it. Hey, what's up, Travis? How you doing, man? Direct service overhead and Apex Tattoo Studio up in the house. Yeah, I don't know if you're talking to me, Journo. I'm not saying that he is. Like I said, I've got it in my mind that Nick Smith is not coming back. I think he wants to, and I don't think it's because he doesn't want to. I just think that, with what's going on with his rehab and everything. Anthony Black shoots 73%. Yeah, no, I knew he was in the 70s. I knew he was somewhere floating around the 70s. That sounds right. Okay, so RC's an 80% free throw shooter. I had looked at everything but that this morning because I was so wrapped up in this TeSlaa stuff. Facts, it would be great to go into the half down by less than 4. Hate having to hold your breath coming out in the half. Well, I mean, attacking the zone and making them move with crisp passing will get you old-fashioned three-point plays. One thing, too, that I've not seen them do a lot of is create their own shots outside. Maybe I'm missing it. I'm not seeing a lot of ball screens outside. I'm not seeing them try to set anything up. I don't know if that's just how Muss game plans it, or if it's a lack of execution, a lack of execution on the floor. I don't know. Looking at some other stuff here. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, Alabama tonight. Right now, I think last I saw it was like even on the line. Alabama, what they do really well, of course, we know they got Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller's playing, he's 19 points a game. They've got plenty of talent. You cannot hate on what they're doing. Points per game, they're at 83 points per game, or 82.9. That's top 20 in the country. Rebounds per game, they're at 46. They're really high in that category. And then points allowed, I mean, that's a tough number to look at and take too seriously in college basketball, but they are allowing almost 70 points a game. They're pretty deep, man. I mean, they blasted Kentucky last time they played, and Kentucky's just not a good basketball team. I wouldn't even put them in the tournament right now. If you're a Kentucky fan, oof, I don't know what to tell you, man. They're just Kentucky's. it's a little bit of a surprise just how bad they are. You always think they're a little bit overrated, but my Lord, man. I mean, Cal, they want him out. They want him to take the Texas job. And I don't know how to feel about that. And don't forget, you've got Texas coming into the league. I'm not saying he's going to be a threat at Texas. I really don't. I don't know. I think they might just get more of the same at Texas. I don't know. I don't even know if Texas is super interested or not. I mean, I'm sure they are because of Cal's ability to recruit, and he has had some success at this level. I mean, you got to give him respect. But, yeah, man, Alabama can go pretty deep. I mean, they ended up with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They ended up playing a 10-man rotation. Now, that's mostly because they just blew Kentucky out of the water. By the way, Kentucky's 0-3 in conference play. Can Kentucky figure it out and at least become competitive? I don't see why not, but they are playing they're not playing good basketball on any level. It's just kind of crazy to think. But Bama, on the other hand, I mean, they beat at the time 12th ranked Michigan State by 11. Their losses right now are to at the time top 20 UConn, 82-67. They beat North Carolina when they were ranked first, 103-101. They beat Houston when they were ranked number 1 now is that on the road or is that a neutral site? I think that was at Houston, 71-65. They lost to Gonzaga by 10, 100-90. But then they went on the road. They beat Mississippi State, who, people were trying to tell me they're great. Well, Mississippi State's 1-2 in conference play now. But they beat Mississippi State on the road 78-67. Right now they are 1-0 on the road in SEC play. Yeah, I right now I say right now, the game's later today. It's at 6 p.m. Definitely going with Alabama tonight. Honestly, it wouldn't. This is one of those games where anything could happen, including an Arkansas win. The only scenario I don't see happening is Arkansas winning this game by double digits. That's the only scenario on the table I just don't see happening. What I see most likely happening is Alabama probably winning by double digits. They've got some. They're going to take advantage. While Arkansas is a wounded animal right now, they're going to take advantage. They've played in hostile environments, and they've done just fine. Arkansas still trying to find their identity, their fluidity on the floor, trying to figure out something on the offensive end of the floor. They're still trying to piece things together. Again, I'm losing. I don't know, LSU, you're their only win right now. Right now, LSU is 12-4, 1-3 in conference play. LSU's not a very good basketball team. Just from what I've read, what little I've watched, I'm not impressed by what I've seen so far. Alabama is very impressive. Again, the X factor will be Bud Walton, and I think an Arkansas win is on the table, but I feel like it's going to be a Bama blowout. I think Bama probably wins by 14, 15, something like that. They're just gelling. They're riding a good 4-game win streak with at least a good win under their belt in that time frame, beating Mississippi State on the road. So yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. It's going to be fascinating to watch. That's for sure. And of course I will be doing the post game tonight. Of course. Don't think Cal is all that, in my opinion. He only recruited well back when Kentucky was Kentucky. Now that everyone can compete. I mean, sure, right. I mean, the natural progression for Kentucky is that they're just not what they were in his beginning time at Kentucky. His first several years, they're just not on that. They're just not anywhere near on that level. They're not playing at that level. Calipari, Texas. I mean, I don't know why. I kind of feel like Texas might think they're too good for Cal at this point, though. I mean, going from, the guy, arguably one of the biggest names in college basketball, to going to someone like Cal, I don't know the Texas fans would be overly excited about Calipari. Just calling it what it is. The Crimson Tide, which came into the game with the 5th most three-point attempts in the country, did what they do. Nate Oates, a team let's see, Nate Oates' team attempted 27 and made 10. They have to be shook by Bud Walton. Yeah, right, which is what I agree. Yeah, Bud Walton Arena is going to have to it's going to have to shake the ground for sure. Austin is cool even with their baggage. Yeah, I mean, it is a cool town. People who, and I haven't been to Austin in a long time, but I know people that routinely go there a lot for business or whatever. And as much as they love NWA, they'll tell you that Austin it's fine. It's good. Of course, you're going to get people saying Austin is a cesspool. But everyone says that, or a lot of people will say that around here simply because it's Texas. There's a hardcore bias against Austin. I get it. I haven't been to Austin in a long time. I really couldn't tell you. Kelly Williams, what's up, man? Yeah, we're going to get to TeSlaa. For anyone who's just joining, we haven't talked about TeSlaa yet. That's coming up next. Need Council to get going. I think Council and Black are going to have to play two huge roles tonight. Devo on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, just looking at what the kind of matchup that you have tonight, you know, Alabama ranks top 10 in defensive efficiency. You know, the one surprising thing for me about them, considering how they play, you know, they don't force a lot of turnovers. Arkansas does. Arkansas is like top 25 in the country. That'll be interesting to see. Listen, I feel like this will be a good game in the first half. And Arkansas's been a second half team this year. That's when they're at their best, is in the second half. I could absolutely see this either going down to a final few possessions kind of game. Like I said, I'm leaning towards Alabama, and that's kind of the route I'm taking. Alabama probably walks into Bud Walton, shook a little bit at first, especially when you got a couple of freshmen in that lineup. They're going to be shook a little bit, but it's not like they haven't played in tough environments. But then after that kind of wears off, Alabama just has they're just gelling so well right now. I think to overcome whatever Bud Walton, whatever Muss, whatever those guys throw at Alabama, I think they'll absorb it. They'll reflect it and take over. Because, again, Bama looks like a Final Four team right now. Arkansas kind of looks like a team that, I'm not saying bubble, but they kind of look like a team that if they don't get things figured out, they're going to be doing everything in their power just to be in the bubble. And that's hard to believe I'm saying that. And I don't think that's going to be the case. But the way they're playing right now, especially on the road, which is not uncommon even for good basketball teams, playing on the road is always difficult. But they got to get together. I'll just say that, especially against someone like Alabama. Now, Nate Oates, he's going to have to prove it this year for me to really start buying in that Alabama should be so highly ranked. Yeah, they recruit really well. He puts together a great product on the floor. Now he's got to go on a deep tournament run. The same goes for Barnes in Tennessee. Their three-point defense is really good. Their block percentage, both these teams block really well. Again, Arkansas gets the advantage in terms of steals. On the offensive end of the floor, this is what's kind of scary, right? Their offensive efficiency, they're top 20. Their 2-point shooting, they're right around the top 100. Their adjusted tempo is number 3 in the country, but they're just very effective on the offensive end of the floor. Arkansas is not. They're the polar opposite in almost every category outside of shooting inside the paint. We know in 2-point land, they can make or break themselves there. That's Arkansas getting to the rim, getting those putbacks to go in against Auburn, and shooting poorly at the free throw line. Crushed Arkansas. Not getting those putbacks up and in, it just killed them. And Auburn made some, let's just be honest, Auburn made some dadgum bullshit shots. Some bullshit shots. Several that should have just rimmed out, or not even rim out, shouldn't even touch the damn rim. They had a couple of those. Arkansas couldn't buy a bucket even underneath the rim. I have got to get that going tonight. If you're gonna play around the rim, you're gonna have to figure out a way to break that zone and play well underneath. A lot of matchup issues here, I think. Well, at least a couple of key matchups, in a something that will have to happen is looking at Brandon Miller. Who is guarding Brandon Miller? My guess is, I think everyone has said it's going to be Walsh, and I think that's probably right. Walsh will be matched up on Brandon Miller, but they've got other pieces on the floor that just really are a bit of a concern for Arkansas. And I don't think it's hopeless. I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying that it's completely hopeless. Arkansas has no chance tonight. I'm not saying that. They do. Bud Walton will take an effect. Maybe someone will surprise us on the offensive end of the floor tonight. Maybe we see Pinion get some quality minutes and some open looks. Maybe we'll see some outside ball screens. Maybe we'll see them try to set things up because they're gonna have to break into that zone one way or another. They're gonna have to stretch that floor out and create lanes, create space. And you're not going to do it when your whole game is about playing above the rim. That's hard to do when a team can also play above the rim and can defend the rim really well. Yeah, again, I'm taking Alabama in this one, probably plus 14, something like that. Big fan of Pinion, Grant Morgan type player. What's up, Brian Frazier? How you doing, man? Glad to have you in here. Remember to like, share, subscribe, guys. We're going to be fine, King, as we handle the zone early. Boy, I hope so. Listen. And they have. I mean, they've gone against the zone and done well a little bit, but mostly have struggled. Alabama will be the best zone defense you've played against when you just look at talent on the floor. As bad as we shot at Auburn, average says we shoot lights out tonight. It has that effect, Bud Walton does. It does have that effect where They can get the upset tonight. Is that Pepsi so disappointed? Yeah, my brother. Yeah. Zero sugar. I'm a Pepsi guy. Listen, Mountain Dew for life. Well, no, gotta cut out regular soda. It'd have to be Diet Mountain Dew, and then even then, I'm trying to get away from diet drinks. Not directed at you, Ty, but I'm not seeing much concern and appreciation for Nick Smith Jr. as a human being. And Arkansas and Arkansan from media, man could easily have gone straight. Well, you must not be following me on Twitter. I took a lot of heat for saying that Nick Smith Jr. owes, and you say it's not directed at me. That's fair, but yeah, I definitely think that he's owed. I don't know that he doesn't owe anyone anything. I think some of the hate that he got from fans on Twitter was just ridiculous. You know, the media sometimes just has a job to do. You know, the media they just have a job to do. I don't know. I'm not media. I'm just a commentator. At the very least, I'm just a commentator. Or at the very most, maybe. I'm here flapping my gums. That's what I do. And you're probably right, Kingsley. You're probably right there. But you know, when you live in their world, and I was around it for a little bit, right? And I'm not trying to have a swollen head over that, but I was around it a little bit, being in the media room, and you know, being around those guys just for the little bit that I was. They have a job to do, and sometimes they kind of take out the human element, and they don't do it on purpose. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's just what they do, and I don't think they mean to do it. I'll tell you, I think, you know, Otis Kirk is a good example. Otis Kirk is someone who actually does think of these kids. He really does. So I'm glad I worked beside him. I really am fortunate that I worked beside him and Dudley Dawson. I don't think those two do that. I think they do, like, they'll tell you about, oh, he's a great kid. You know, they'll talk about his home life a little bit with you. If you're ever fortunate enough to talk to them in person, though, Nick Smith Jr. owes us nothing. Yeah, he doesn't know anyone a thing. He really doesn't. Ty is an influencer. I don't know if I'd go that far. I like commentator. I like just a commentator. A commentator. Commentator. I said it. Hog Barbecue says we are screwed. What do you mean? Talking about basketball tonight? You think so? Gotta have back cuts and off ball screens tonight. Yeah. Pull up the Audice Tony tapes. Ty, what can you tell us about Lanny? Why y'all asking me about Lanny? I enjoyed doing what I did with Hogville. I mean, they gave me a great opportunity, and that's because of Otis Kirk and Lanny. And I'm thankful for that. I really am. Otis does do a great job. Otis did a good job with this TeSlaa stuff. I was texting him last night. We're trying to get this figured out, and he was like, yeah, this is going to – he didn't know what was going on. Nobody had a clue what was going on at all. A commentator. There you go. Listen, I'm from the South, and you know how I talk. You know how I be. Commentator. Bama goes as freshman Miller and Clowney, both forwards, right? Miller was a top 15 prospect, Clowney a top 80. Our forwards have to come into play. Yeah, I really think tonight it's going to – as much as I think Council and Black will need to step up, I think they're going to need Pinion to get some quality minutes tonight on the outside. Find a way to splash a couple corner pocket threes. Spread those guys out, man. Spread their defense out. Create some space because they're bigs. They're guys underneath. They've got some size to them. I just appreciate being able to stay so plugged into Arkansas sports despite not living anywhere close to the 479. Y'all make the hard days better. Oh, well, I think you're talking to everybody here, so I appreciate that. I'm sure chat does as well. All right, let's get into what everyone wants to talk about. Again, my final story on the game tonight, I'm taking Bama by probably 12. I do think it might be close in the beginning. Arkansas might even find a way to keep a lead for a little bit in the first half. I think Alabama kind of just deflects whatever Arkansas throws at them. I don't know if it's still connected. You guys, you there? Okay. Hang on. Let me know when you guys get caught up for just a second. I don't know what happened. OBS just flaked. Everything just went red. Let me know when you guys get caught up. Okay, you're up. Okay, good. Yeah, that was weird. Everything just went red across my screen. Like, oh, wow. All right. We have a super chat, a couple hog emojis. Look at that, baby. Appreciate that, Aaron. All right, let's get into the meat potatoes, baby. How about landing big-time prospect, Mr. TeSlaa? You guys saw the video I played at the beginning. If you didn't, go back and watch. It's fantastic. TeSlaa is a huge get. Here's what Otis Kirk had to say. Arkansas has landed another prize from the transfer portal with the addition of former Hillsdale, Michigan College wide receiver Isaac freaking TeSlaa, 6'4", 210 pounds. By the way, rumored. I know I say rumored because when you're coming from a smaller school, we don't know how legit some of these numbers are. I've also heard he's a tall I've heard he's a short 6'5", tall 6'4". I'm going to say he's 6'4". Because most people agree he's 6'4", around 210 pounds. I'm getting a phone call here. Rumored to be in that 4'5", 40 range. Looks to have long arms. Again, we don't know the measurements. We only have the film, some of which, you guys saw at the beginning. Really exciting piece. Yet another receiver that Arkansas has landed in this class. We don't know what's going on at tight end. I saw someone say earlier in our Discord that, tight end's going to be fine. I don't know about that just yet. You just lost Trey Knox. You whiffed on Roberts. You're in on this kid from Notre Dame. We'll see what happens there. Rumor was he was going to commit somewhere last night at 7 p.m. Never happened, and that was confirmed by a couple of people that it was a 7 p.m. announcement. Didn't happen, so we'll see what happens today. Get to that in just a second. But TeSlaa is a big time get for Arkansas. Again, he does look – I'm not saying that he's Treylon Burks. Do not quote me as saying that, please. I don't think he's Treylon Burks, but his measurables look pretty similar. He's got a video out of him just making one-handed catches, and that was in the preview at the beginning. This cat lays his body out. He'll make the play. Rumored to be somewhere between a 39 to 41-inch vertical. That's ridiculous. It's almost like they just got mini Matt Jones I would say that might almost be the comparison, except the 40 time's a little slower. Matt Jones was a 4.38 at 6'6", 240. But with that vertical leap, with the catch radius that he has, go watch Matt Jones' rookie year at Jacksonville. Now, he was a burner, but had a wide catch radius, big hands, was able to make plays. I don't know that I shouldn't compare him to anybody because he's coming from a small school. This is a big get, though, for Arkansas. You can line him up just about anywhere at wide receiver. You can line him up at slot. You can line him up outside. Doesn't really matter. He's a bigger bodied, good frame. I think pretty highly. I was talking about this kid a long time ago. As soon as he hit the portal and people were talking about him, I was immediately I really liked what I saw. Really cool that they signed this kid. Not saying no one else was talking about him. Of course they were here in Arkansas, but I definitely wanted to be a part of that. Just watching his film and watching him kind of blow up. He could be a piece that walks right in and fits in with the offense perfectly. I think that's ultimately why he picked Arkansas. I mean, you're missing everybody. You're missing Hazelwood. You're missing Landers. You're missing Knox, Katron Jackson. You're going to have Bryce Stevens, Isaiah Centennia, wide receiver, some other pieces here and there. But no one – and Centennia, who will be a redshirt freshman, by the way, and Bryce Stevens, who, by the way, stood out in fall camp a little bit. There will be competition in certain areas at wide receiver. But TeSlaa, I think, has a legit shot of walking in. I'm not saying he's going to have a great he should be good for spring camp. I don't think they have to enroll until next week. Is that right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Next week is when they got to enroll, or is it this week? Maybe it's later this week. Anyways, from what I understand, I think he's supposed to be here for the spring. If I'm wrong on that, please correct me. But we'll see what happens. It might take him a little bit. Now he's going to be around SEC caliber talent. It may take him to fall camp to really – hell, it may take him a few games into the season. At the end of the day, I'm going to caution everybody, and I've had to remind myself of doing this. He is coming from a school that I guarantee you 90% of you have never heard of. That is something you have to take into consideration. Will his game translate to this level? But I think just watching him play, the videos and the highlights that are out there, the YouTube content that's out there on this kid, TeSlaa certainly looks like someone who has a really high ceiling. Not putting him in the first round. Not saying he's Treylon Burks. Definitely just the Matt Jones comparison mostly because of his vertical. Matt Jones was tall and had a pretty good vertical. But similar in speed to Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks' NFL 40 time was what, 4.53? That's where this kid is rumored to be. And that's the other thing. We don't know if that's a laser 40 time or if that's a hand time. That stuff matters, right? But also what matters is what you see on film, despite the fact that it's against, let's be real, compared to the Power 5 and the SEC, inferior competition. Now he's going to have KJ throwing him the ball. Now he's going to play on an offense that already has a loaded backfield, assuming nobody else transfers. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Arkansas is in pretty good shape, I think. He does have 2 years of eligibility. I think technically he'll be a redshirt junior with 2 years of eligibility. Yeah, he'd have to be a junior. So when he was recruited out of high school, I think he was 6'2". I want to say like $180. Last I looked at his profile. He's obviously grown. And as a just his size and as a football player, his RAC is what stands out. I think we've missed that from our wide receivers. Talent is talent. I can tell by the tape. I mean, true, right? Talent is talent, but I'm only urging caution because he is coming from a really small school. I mean, but I've also said, Matt Landers. I get Landers at least played at a level higher in terms of where he came from, right? In terms of where Matt Landers came from, there's a big difference between where he came from and Hillsdale or whatever, Hillsdale College. Big difference there. And Landers did, as people love to remind me, yes, he was a 3-star that committed and signed with Georgia. But ultimately, it's where he wound up, and then he came to Arkansas and had a huge impact. Some people thought, well, he didn't cut it at Georgia, and he did so at his next stop, he's not going to do anything at Arkansas. And I, among others, Otis Kirk, Dudley Dawson, all believe Landers was going to have an impact, and he did. I think he's going to have an impact. What I'm saying is pump the brakes on the Burks comparison. That's not fair to him. Treylon Burks is a first-round talent. Matt Jones was a first-round talent. Of course, he doesn't have that 40 that Matt ran with. 99.9% of you haven't heard of that school. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of people have not heard of that school. I had 4.2 speed, 4 weeks, 2 days. Nice. He played quarterback and wing tee, blah, 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 played whatever he was told. Gamer, played safety. His dad played wide receiver in college. He put 30 pounds on a muscle. Yeah, he certainly looks – he's got the frame to add pounds to muscle. He's got a good-looking frame. Not necessarily Burks, but he definitely looks the part. He will work well in KB's system, but needs to see more of his blocking to be sure. How many offers did he have? So here's what's crazy about his story, right? Here's what's nuts about his story. He gets offered by a number of schools. I don't remember them all off the top of my head. Colorado comes, right? Colorado offers him. Their boards, their fan boards, I was getting sent screenshots and some text messages from people. He never made the visit, and that was coming from their board. Now, I don't know that any Colorado mod was saying that, but it was certainly some board members that were like, he didn't make the trip. Found out later he made the trip. Of course, we all know the now infamous picture of him standing next to the TeSlaa. Look, you do what you got to do, man, to land these recruits, whatever. You do what you got to do to land the recruit. That's all that matters. As long as you're within the, as long as you're doing it within the rules, which we all know that's kind of up in the air right now. But and so then Iowa offers his friend, it's either a friend or a relative, a preferred walk-on. They offer him a PWO. And so then all the belief was that, well, now it's Iowa's going to get him because I guess he and this individual are close, they're tight, they're boys, whatever. Come to find out that not only did Colorado and Iowa not make the cut, it came down between Iowa State and Arkansas. That's what I have read and what I've been told. I'm telling you, transfer portal recruiting is absurd because it feels like it changes within the hour. Just like this tight end who's got a funny last name. I think it's Barang. Cade Barang. Hang on. I'll pull him up here on my screen. Can't show you my screen. Kane Barong. 4-star, .91, 4-star, 6'4", 230 out of high school. He was a top 10 tight end in the 2021 class. He was supposed to commit last night at 7 p.m. That was the word. Never happened. The only one that was pretty predictable was Dante Thornton, the wide receiver that ended up committing to Tennessee. Tennessee was his last visit. You kind of saw that coming. We know Arkansas picked up Walcott, which is a really good pickup. I think they're killing it, really. The more you look at it, again, Tyrone Broden, for anyone that asked me, I don't believe that Tyrone Broden is I don't think Tyrone Broden is Arkansas's in the mix there. Someone just DM'd me and said TeSlaa's received offers from Oklahoma State. Yeah, right. I knew he had received a number of offers. Oklahoma State was in the mix. Miami, A&M. Yeah, they were. But it sounded like at the end, it was Colorado got in the mix. Colorado was considered a possibility because of prime time and the whole thing with the TeSlaa. Iowa got involved. Iowa State got involved. Of course, Arkansas was already there. But he ended up, obviously, as we all know, he ended up going with Arkansas. It was kind of a wild ride. Thankful that happened. I appreciate you guys DMing me. I do my best. TeSlaa 4.0 GPA kid. Now, see, I'm sure, I'm sure there's plenty of other accolades that I have not seen. I know I had his Twitter pulled up. He's also got his numbers. Where are his numbers? It was something like 1,200 yards. Hang on. Let's see. Yeah. All right. He has on his own Twitter profile, he's a redshirt sophomore, Hillsdale College. He was number 4. GMAC Offensive Player of the Year. He has 6'4", 210. He has 41-inch vertical on his profile, 10'8", broad, and a 4.5 40. Again, don't know if that's laser time. His numbers, 68 grabs, 1,325 yards, 13 touchdowns. Team MVP. Yeah, I listen, sometimes you have a pretty good idea of what you're in for, and I kind of feel like TeSlaa. My radar on TeSlaa is that this is a kid that's going to come in and have an impact. Now, I don't like pumping these kids up too much. I don't, because we've been burned before. We've been burned before. No matter the sport, baseball, basketball, or football, some high-profile prospect comes in, doesn't really do what we think. And maybe that's TeSlaa, but, boy, he just pops. He pops off video big time. 4.5 handheld is what Woo Pig Sui ATX 50 says. And that's probably right, considering he went to a smaller school. It doesn't mean he's slower or faster. It means we just don't know. You don't know how accurate they are. Most of the time, the laser is going to be a little bit, I mean, obviously it's the most accurate way, but your laser is going to be a little bit slower than your handheld. I don't know who, Cap Bailey ASMR says having sure-handed receivers is such an underrated attribute. Yeah, those one-handed catches are ridiculous, man. They're ridiculous. His videos are fun to watch. He does remind you of Treylon Burks in a lot of ways. Like, he's willing to do what it takes to get the ball. You know, I did see a little bit of some 50-50 jump ball stuff, too. That was something we talked about. You know, I would love – there's so much more you want to know about him. Like, what's his arm length? Like, what's his – you know, we talk about that in basketball. Well, I think that's just as important for defensive ends. It's just as important for tackles, and it's just as important for wide receivers and tight ends. Large catch radius. That's certainly something that pops off of video. His hands, he looks like he's got monstrous hands making those one-handed grabs. Yeah, there's plenty to be excited about here. Again, just, you know, I'm trying my best to not overhype you guys about him. That's what I'm trying to do. D1 training, nutrition, and form correction might bring that 40 time down too. That is very correct. Yes. And he's going to get that opportunity with this staff. He's going to get that opportunity at the University of Arkansas. They're going to have resources where his previous school, where they didn't have. I mean, that's the benefit of coming to the SEC. Any Power 5, right? For sure, any Power 5, but I would argue probably more so in the SEC just because of the degree in which we take football serious down here. Say what you want about Arkansas's performance this year. We certainly know they put an emphasis on football and training these players. They do for all sports, baseball especially. Trying to scroll down here. So that's going to bring your transfers right now, and I think I've got them all here. John Morgan, Andrew Armstrong, another long-armed receiver, 6'3", 6'4", out of A&M Commerce. Grades out really high according to Pro Football Focus. 85.7 on receiving grade according to Pro Football Focus. I think that would be higher than any receiver since Treylon Burks, according to Pro Football Focus. You got Jacoby Criswell. We know he's a Morrilton native. He's from Morrilton High, class of 2020. Backup quarterback there. You feel so much better about that quarterback room. We don't know it till we get to see it. We all thought Hornsby, his second year as a backup, would be better. It wasn't. We'll see what what Criswell has to offer. And then you got the tackle out of Florida, 6'6", 335, Joshua Braun, who's a pretty highly recruited 4-star. And then now you've added TeSlaa. Went to Unity Christian High School out of Hudsonville, Michigan. Sounds like quite the town. If I may be so bold, huh? All right. What else we got? What are we at on the time? We're at an hour and deuce. Look at that. Go run anything under. Yeah, no, we're not. I don't know. I'm not saying 4.5 is slow. I don't know if you guys are responding to someone in chat. 4.5 is not slow. I mean, there's high schools around here. You'll watch a kid just bolt on the field. And you come to find out later talking to people, oh, yeah, he ran like a 4.75 40. When you get someone in the 4.5 range, that's moving. Yeah, no one's running. That 4.5 is not slow, and especially when you're talking about someone who's 6'4", 210 pounds. Random question: do all sports share a weight room at Arkansas, or do they all have individual weight rooms? I don't know. Actually, I know they have multiple weight rooms. I don't know. I wasn't around campus enough to know. That's a good question. That'd be a good question for Otis, or go hit up, maybe Biddy or someone. I really don't know the answer to that. It's a good question, actually. Just over 30 days from Omaha season. Any talk today about this team? Not at the moment. I've not done anything as far as research for this team. Baseball was something we have always kind of lightly covered here. Last year we saw an uptick in the analytics. Just looking at when we discussed baseball, baseball's a weird sport to cover on YouTube. It's weird. If I put a baseball logo on a thumbnail and I mention baseball in the title, those videos, they're just horrible. But I had a couple last year that did pretty well. And some of the post-game stuff that we did for postseason baseball, oh, yeah, that's where it's at. It's juicy. Yeah, I'll definitely get caught up on baseball. We're going to have I need to reach out to Dudley Dawson, who covers baseball for Hogville. I need to bring him on. Gorilla says they don't share a weight room. As far as I know, they do not share a weight room, but certain sports do share certain. I don't know. I don't know. Top impact transfer we've gotten so far. Well, I would argue it'd probably be TeSlaa. I think it'd be TeSlaa or Armstrong. John Morgan, not a lot of talk about him. Pretty good sized, 6'2", 6'3", 265 defensive end, edge rush guy. Grades out really good. His pass rush grade, according to PFF, is 77.5. That's pretty good. Not a lot of talk about Morgan. We'll see what he does. That defensive end room you feel a little bit better about, but then you're losing an edge rusher / linebacker in Drew Sanders. So Joshua Braun will have an impact on the offensive line. We'll see what happens with him. But I'd argue right now TeSlaa's the guy. TeSlaa's your biggest impact player so far. You could argue some of these guys on defense that I have yet to add to the Portal Pigs on Discord. I will. But, yeah, Braun is going to be good. I think Braun is going to be good, and I don't think enough people are talking about Braun. That's a pretty good get. He was committed to Sam Pittman out of high school, and then when Pittman took the Arkansas job, he ended up going to Florida. So Haas says it's going to be TeSlaa or Braun. It could be. I would say it's probably going to be TeSlaa. We've still got some more additions coming. There's still more coming. You're still waiting on some guys. There's still some pieces out there, right? That they're going after. We'll have to wait and see. But again, TeSlaa was the one I circled a little while back, and Arkansas got him. That's huge. All right, I want to say thank you guys, everyone who's here live. We will be live tonight for the post-game show. Looking forward to doing that. Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's coming off an Arkansas upset tonight, upsetting the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. Anything could happen tonight. The only scenario I don't see happening is Arkansas blowing out Alabama. That's about the only scenario. I could see overtime. I could see, Arkansas having a little, maybe they get up to a 10 or 12-point lead, and then Alabama chips away. Other way around, shoe on the other foot, and et cetera, et cetera. But I at least hope it's a good game either way. So, yeah. All right. Remember to like, share, subscribe on your way out. Again, I do appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys here tonight after the Arkansas and Alabama game in Fayetteville, 6 p.m. tip-off. Woo Pig Suey. Go Hogs.